in regards to the new gas traps, the new gas trap changes that are going to be coming up, and the new propane changes and everything, I kind of have a theory of what they're trying to do in the direction that they're doing it. You know, I was just asked on stream whether or not I thought that people would be utilizing the gas traps differently as bee dispersion, and I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't think that. I think that gas traps are going to be used exactly the same as they're used now, because you know they're already having full coverage. Like, I think the idea is to make the inside of bases safer. I feel like that's what they're trying to do, is give people the ability to fight more effectively inside of a base without being so afraid of everything just falling apart on them. And I think it kind of ties together. I have a feeling that the idea that Epic was going for with all of this is actually kind of a bigger picture. I think what they're doing is they're making it so that gas traps only hit the enemies that are directly under the traps. I think that they're toning back the attack a little bit. And I think the reason that they're doing that is because they're making some big nerfs, right? They're giving you some bonuses and they're taking some things away to try to balance out the type of gameplay that's being encouraged. So what they're doing by adding the anti-bee mechanic to gas traps is they're making the inside of your bases safe, which really benefits players like me who build a fortress. If you've ever seen a VASH base, I've got the anti-smasher floors. I've got a fully contained base with trap tunnels all around the base. So I got like a double layer of trap tunnels with, you know, broadside traps and slow spikes, and it just keeps everything coming from all directions of the base evenly. It's equal on all sides. There's gas traps everywhere. There's anti-smasher floors to keep the smashers from charging. You got the slow spikes to slow everything down, the broadsides to do a bunch of extra damage in the tunnels. And now the gas traps are going to disperse bees so that you're safer while living on the inside. So if bees, you know, shoot into the base, the bees are gone. So you're safer fighting under traps. Now, I think what they're encouraging for the fighting under traps is now because they've made the gas traps weaker, but they've also made the gas traps stronger, right? You're safer underneath, meaning you can be more damage yourself in the battle, as opposed to the traps doing all the damage in the battle. In addition, you can use more rocket launchers in the tunnels because your tunnels aren't going to be polluted with propane. That's a key element, is the propane is no longer going to be in your tunnels. When enemies come into your tunnels, as long as you don't screw up and shoot a propane shoot the propane or shoot him in the chest and then not kill him, and then he gets angry and throws the propane at you, as long as the propane isn't detonated or thrown, as long as the guy he comes in, the gas trap kills him or you kill him, he goes, he drops the propane disappears. So now your trap tunnels are a lot safer. So because the trap tunnels are safer, you can be in the trap tunnels and you can use more weapons inside the trap tunnels without being as in danger as you were before. You're less vulnerable to just the whole thing falling apart in a blaze of one propane tank goes off and the whole trap tunnel is gone completely. Now, characters like Base Kyle and Power Base Nox are going to be much more relevant because you can take a hit from a propane tank, right? Power Base or Base Kyle can take a hit, right? He can take a hit. He can take a propane hit. It's not going to be the end of the world. It'll smash you, and then your base will start healing itself. So as long as you don't have double propane or triple propane go off in a row, you should be okay, right? Your trap tunnels should be all right. They should hold up. And, if you have Power Base around, the trap tunnels will heal even faster. So now if a propane tank goes off in the trap tunnel, it's not necessarily the end of the world because it's not going to detonate 20, 30, 50 propane tanks and wipe out your whole base. It's going to blow up, and then you can repair it. Unless he detonate, there's two walking side by side, and then they both detonate, and then you're going to have a bad day. But it's a lot more softer. It's a lot more lenient. It gives you more time to do counterplay, right? Because there's no way to counterplay propane. You got to just basically pray to God that they don't detonate, blow up the whole base, and then as long as that doesn't happen, then you get somebody to go and use that cheesy strategy of like turning off permissions and then getting people to like push the propane out of your base and detonating them from a safe distance and blah 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 blah, right? All that junk. So now that's not an issue. Now you don't have to worry about all that trash. You don't have to worry about your game crashing because there's so many propane on the ground. You can't even deal with it all. Now you're gonna have more time to focus on replacing traps in your base, breaking down walls, replacing traps, upgrading stuff. It's the propane's not going to eat up a bunch of your time. The propane's not going to be, a game ending, it blows up and everything's gone. Like, how many times did that happen in Fortnite? Like, I remember playing Fortnite and you'd just be horrified that you got propane everywhere and you're just praying to God that you don't get one stray go off and you lose the entire base instantly. It felt bad, man. I mean, yeah, it was cool because there was a real element of strategy in there, but now they're kind of balancing it, right? They're toning down the gas traps a little bit, and they're turning up the bee safety prevention, because when bees are inside the base, I mean, there's not much you can do in regards to fighting and gunning, and it really disables the ability for you to micromanage combat inside of a tunnel when bees are everywhere. So they're making tunnels safer. Anywhere that you're fighting under gas traps, you have a huge element of safety that you didn't have before. Propane is not going to go off in massive chain reactions, so again, you're a lot safer, and the base that you're doing is a lot safer. But you got to keep in mind that now the gas traps are going to be toned down in damage, right? They're just not going to do as much. The wooden floor spikes will keep them, will slow them down and give the gas traps more time to do their job. But ultimately, it's just a different feeling now. You've also got the increased duration on the traps, and the way that I understand it is that makes it so that your traps will shoot for 30% longer. And they're like, oh, that's a waste of time now, right? And it's like, no, not really, because I mean, yeah, the traps will using that ability will no longer allow them to they're not going to be under the whole time, but that was never the point. Having the longer duration on the traps, if that's the way it works, is good, because the trap is active for longer. When your trap triggers, your gas trap shoots and shoots and shoots. The longer it shoots, the better, because the more enemies it's going to catch as they walk through the trap. So it actually is very important to have that extra trap duration on there. The effect duration is a big deal. The longer the effect duration lasts for, the shorter the downtime between traps is going to be, because the trap cooldown happens as soon as it fires. So the trap is resetting itself even though it's attacking. So yeah, the longer the longer that trap shoots for, the shorter the time between getting it to shoot again. So it's really, really good, and it's really, really effective. It's going to encourage people to fight inside the tunnels a lot more. It might even encourage people to use weapons like the like the Desa Blaster, because that functions inside of a tunnel really effectively, and really pushes enemies quite well, right? It knocks them and pushes them, and that one doesn't have the the same propane detonation that other ones have. But now it's not going to be the only option either, right? Now you can use any rocket, so long as there's no propane enemies that you're shooting at in the immediate vicinity. You don't have to worry that there's a propane tank on the ground that you're not seeing that's going to blow up in your face because you used a rocket launcher. So now rockets are going to have a lot more viability, and you being in the tunnels is going to have a lot more viability, because the bees aren't going to be blocking you out of being a relevant force within that really active playstyle. And I think that's what they're pushing towards, which I'm really happy, because I've been promoting arcade style gameplay for a long time. I really want to see the game be more about counterplay, more about being active in the battle, you know, having a bigger role other than just letting your traps do everything for you. I think that the traps, you know, being toned down and the bases being safer is going to encourage players to actually fight more, participate more. So it's kind of the way that I see the changes happening. It remains to be seen how much damage the gas traps are going to lose, you know, based on this change. Probably a good little bit, but on the other hand, it also encourages the use of traps like the tar trap. The tar trap is actually much more powerful now with this version of the game, because they're going to hold the enemy under for the entire duration of the gas, making each gas trap do that much more damage. So a really big deal, honestly. Like the tar traps just got way better, although you got to be really careful. It's, you know, in an endurance setting, it's probably not a great idea to use them, because when smashers get trapped by tar traps, they're going to start swinging at walls, and that is a really bad thing because then your base is going to get annihilated. So you got to be careful where you utilize the tar traps, but knowing that tar traps are going to be a really huge increase to the damage that you can do with gas traps is going to be a huge incentive to actually utilize them. And that will be a big deal in areas that are outside of endurance as well, right? Because the game does not revolve around the endurance. It's just, that's a good example of where, you know, really the min-max of, you know, really have to put out a ton of, like, really build, you know, really good builds, right? When you're talking about like really good, super high level crazy builds, you know, endurance is a good example of what it takes to survive. So I think that it's going to be a really interesting change. I think that it'll really shake things up and create a more active, less passive, less AFK style of gameplay. And ultimately, I think that's really good for the game. And we'll just have to wait and see, you know, and see how much of an impact this new system has on the game. So far, I'm actually really excited. I'm curious as to, you know, is when I heard this idea, my instinct was, let's understand why. You know, why did they make this change? Why do they feel like this is a necessary change to the game? I know a lot of people just immediately defaulted to despair, like, oh man, it's gonna make the game impossible. It's gonna make endurance impossible. Blah, blah. I'm like, well, maybe not. Let's think about it from their perspective and try to understand why they're making the changes that they're making. And honestly, the propane thing is a big deal. It's a really big deal. I can understand why they maybe want to tone down the damage of the tunnels a little bit, you know, knowing that they're taking the propane factor out of the game, and knowing that the bees are not going to be there to stop you from fighting and being a relevant damage dealing force within your tunnels. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be really interesting. It's definitely going to give really good players a whole new opportunity to hone their craft and learn new skills and understand a new system and get really good. And ultimately, it's going to be entertainment for you guys, because, you know, you guys are going to be experiencing the same thing, and you're going to have lots of new videos of us showcasing the greatest, you know, successes and failures of the new system. Change is good. Change is good. Change is fun. It always gives us a new conversation, gives us new tactics and strategies to think about, and ultimately, you know, change is a fascinating, you know, wonderful way to keep the game evolving and to keep things fresh and new and different. No matter how small the change, you know, little changes can have big impacts. So I can't wait. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this this deep dive conversation talking about the new gas traps and the new changes in general coming up with the roadmap, and how I perceive this affecting the game and the mentality that went behind these choices. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed the conversation, because I love these kinds of videos, and I really love when people are active in the comments, where I can actually, you know, hear ideas and bounce and, you know, kind of learn more about where, you know, because I, you know, not all my ideas are my ideas, right? Sometimes people blow me away with unique points of view, and yeah, the conversation is just so fun. So fun. I love when changes are made to the game that inspire people to talk. And yeah, I hope you guys will be very active in the comments. And yeah, if you found this video to be helpful, if you enjoyed this, make sure that you like and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel, helps us to grow. Ring that bell for notifications. And yeah, thank you so much for being a part of the VASH Corps, guys. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching these videos and making it possible to create content for you guys. You guys are the best. All right, guys, I will see you guys in the next one. Okay.